Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Critical Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jimmy Good, and joining me, as always, or typically always, is my go-to podcast compadre, Mr. Joe Lever. Joe, how's it going, pal?
Hold your applause.
I can't do it.
Thanks for having me on again, Jimmy.
I can't do it. I'm applauding. It's too late.
What's up?
Not much, buddy. We got a few things this week, thankfully, because it's been kind of dry spell on news lately. But hopefully we're changing that now. We got the Star Wars big convention that just happened, and we've got Comic-Con coming up, so we should have a lot of news coming. But before we get into it, just want to thank, This is Daleb for the amazing intro, our theme, and all that, which I love listening to every time, and to Jorn Evers for making our great art. Even though he is the one that he's been hounding me on Twitter about getting like this, where they can see us. So maybe one of these days we'll go on Google Hangouts. I'll try to record that. We'll throw that up. If you guys want to see that, let us know if you want to see our faces. So, yeah. But today we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to go over the new Star Wars Rogue One trailer that came out. It's kind of like a behind-the-scenes kind of, I don't know. It's like an
neat
amalgamation thing. It's very cool. And then
really
we're going over the newest Overwatch character who got announced like last week. Right after we recorded, it was like announced. I was like, no! But Ana Amari... and we'll go into that and talk about that.
What's Overwatch?
What's Overwatch? I don't know. Just a little game. It's an indie thing. Don't worry about it. But and then we're gonna go over a few of our top picks and some of the games in the back half of the year of 2016. So let's get right into it. Star Wars Rogue One, brand new trailer just dropped. This, like we're just talking about, this kind of behind the scenes thing. And Joe, again, you're not a huge Star Wars guy, but was there anything in this trailer that you were excited about? We kind of explained what it was the last time, and you kind of remember what the premise is, at least. But is there anything that really jumps out to you, gets you hyped, gets you amped, anything like that?
Female antagonist is pretty cool.
Protagonist?
Protagonist, sorry. Oh
there could be a bad lady in there.
Maybe she's bad.
Maybe she is bad.
Who knows?
Who knows?
You don't know.
Yeah, she's probably bad.
Just kidding. And then a little bit of a tease on Darth Vader.
I don't know if it's in the trailer, is it?
I thought I saw something.
I know they've talked about it. Apparently, like, behind closed doors, there's, like, a brief, like, second where it shows, like, a red background or, like, red light and, like, his silhouette. Which, I mean, that's enough to get everybody freaking out.
Yeah.
Show me
anywho,
Vader.
Beyond that, the biggest thing I took away from it was, and it was very pleasing, is that there were a lot of practical effects.
Yes.
A lot.
A ton. I was thinking about that when I saw it again, too. I was like, Joe and I are going to be like, practical effects were great. Real good.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of little monstery aliens in suits, right? Which was cool. And they looked real and legit. Yeah. And then even their sets, they built a lot of full sets.
Well, they even had that one line, which almost seemed like a dig at the prequel trilogy, where the guy said, like, there's just stuff on here you couldn't see with a green screen. Like, once you get out here and build the set, you're like, oh, I can shoot it this way instead, which I was like, that is really cool.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. So I thought it was cool. I thought the scene with the stormtroopers walking in the water is neat. And they shift settings a lot. They're going from like a industrial area to a old stony city, and then they're going to tropical beaches.
Yeah, I think
stormtroopers getting a tan.
Yeah, exactly. I think from the poster they showed off, Joe, that tropical setting is like a moon or a planet right next to the Death Star, because in the background of that poster they've got like the beach and stuff, but they have like the Death Star in the back. So that's probably what the base, a lot of maybe some base action happens on that planet, that kind of tropical, which is cool because we haven't really gotten something exactly like that in Star Wars. So
all about it.
Yeah. So you really like that. Is there any character that stood out in particular to you? We get to see a lot of the main cast, I think, but if they go by too quickly and you don't really know a lot about any of them yet.
Exactly. Yeah. So I wasn't able to really go, oh, sweet. I don't know. I obviously the lead there is going to be that female lead, but I don't know. Until I see more, I don't know that I can pick one out yet.
Yeah, for sure. And there actually might be information out there about these characters, but Joe and I haven't gone like reading and digging on this. So if there is, and there's like paragraphs devoted to each character, we don't know about it yet.
Yeah. So more to come shortly, I'm sure. We'll bring out some more on this stuff. So
one person that was kind of absent from this one, and maybe there was like a brief shot of him, but Forrest Whitaker, who's actually playing a character who was in the Star Wars Clone Wars TV show. I don't think he's really present in this whole kind of behind the scenes thing. It's kind of focused more. Yeah, it's focused more on the director, who was Gareth Edwards. He directed Godzilla, and it was kind of cool to see him. You know, he's obviously a fan of the franchise, which you always want your director to be, because he's just like, I get to do all this crazy stuff. But he also talked about, as much as he wants to make a Star Wars film, he wants to bring something new to the table, because he's like, why would I make you pay to go see the same thing you've already seen? And that might be in direct, or like a reference to Star Wars Episode 7. You know, he's like, hey, that's kind of, we've already done, I don't want to just keep rehashing things. I want to bring you something brand new. So hopefully this will be like the Ocean's 11 of Star Wars. I don't know, Joe. Do you think that's what this is going to end up being like from the look of it right now?
Yeah, and with director, with the things he was saying, I think it's very possible. And, you know, it was, he did kind of make it a point to say he's kind of bringing a fresh take to it. So,
yeah.
Just inspiring high hopes, and hopefully he can deliver.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm just, regardless, I want that Darth Vader scene. They don't need to show it in a trailer. I really hope they don't. I hope they'll probably tease him in one of them, but I don't want them to show him, like, if he's in the movie killing a bunch of people. I don't want that in the trailer at all. I just want to be, like, in the theater, and then it happens, and you're like,
just show me a silhouette of Darth Vader, maybe.
That just sells tickets. Like, isn't that crazy to think that that image alone is so iconic that you could just show that for this movie and almost nothing else, and people would go in droves to the theater. Like, it's crazy to me. That's just the power of Star Wars. But yeah, it's really cool. If you guys haven't seen it, I'm gonna link it down below. There's some really cool, like, live action explosions. It's a little Michael Bay-esque sometimes, but they show, like, there's this one scene where it might be, I think it's Rey, but there's like rain coming down on her, and they like hit her with a wind blast, and it kind of slow motions, like as you see all the water go flying off her. It's really cool. And they kind of show some of the action sequences with the moving, like, cameras and the rigs and stuff like that.
I like the little alien guy up in the ship, and he's shooting with the minigun on the...
Yeah, and he's laughing. He's like, ha 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 ha. Yeah, that's really... Like, all of those guys, besides maybe, like, that droid they showed earlier, like, all of it looks like it's, like, practical. Like we were saying before, but, like, almost all of them look practical, Joe. Is there, like, any... Like, when they do the quick showing of all the faces... I think those are all people in costume.
Yeah, from what I could tell.
Which I was like, yeah, baby.
And that's what really set it off for me. I was like, good call.
Yeah, exactly. And what you're saying before, too, about the sets, there's kind of that one that seemed like it was suspended with that huge, like, 180-degree screen around it. And it was kind of shaking around and stuff. And I was like, oh, I bet that thing is pretty intense, too. Like, in a ship, I'm guessing, is what they were filming that, you know. So, yeah, I'm actually excited for this movie. I'm a lot more excited about it. Then I'm not sure if I was as excited about Star Wars Episode 7, because I kind of knew what was coming. I was like, they're probably, it's going to be great to see Star Wars again, but I don't know if they'll do anything too out of the ordinary. But this movie, you can do whatever you want, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And the other thing, too, is that you see Rey and this other guy she's running with across the beach, and she's holding something. Right now, that's kind of the assumption that those might be, like, one half of the Death Star plans. Like, on that kind of, like, old tape, she's kind of holding like a handle or something. So that could be that. It could be a misdirect, but either way, that's kind of what they're doing in this movie. Unfortunately, at one of the panels, one of the characters, they had them all up on stage, and one of the people had said about another main character that he was going to die. And it's not as big of a deal because it's kind of like, we probably know a lot of these guys are toast, but it's, I bet he got pretty scolded afterwards. I think English might have been a second language too, so it might have been too late before they could stop him. He's just kind of going,
fired, kid.
Yeah, get out of here. But yeah, Star Wars Rogue One. There was a plethora of other information for Star Wars, but that's the biggest thing. The other big thing was, I think, more of Darth Maul's coming back in Star Wars Rebels season. Was it 3 or 4? I don't know the next season it's going to be, but I like to see Darth Maul. I want more Darth Maul. It'd be great to see him in these movies, but he'd be pretty old by the time he got to this stuff. So we might see him, we might not. Anyway, that's enough about Star Wars. We've fulfilled our quota of Star Wars for now. Joe, Overwatch. It's the show that people, or it's the game.
Indie game you were talking
about. A little indie
about.
game that people for a while were like, you guys talk about this game too much. And we're still playing it. It's been out for 2 months, and they've just released their first new character, who is a support sniper named Ana Amari, the mother to Farah, our lovable, like, flying, raining down justice lady.
They don't look related.
Yeah, you shut your mouth. And the cool thing about her, besides all this other stuff I'm going to mention here, is that she was actually one of the original 6 of that group from Overwatch, like back in the glory days, and now she's, I think, like 60. So they have a lot of like Soldier 76. I think Reyes is almost up there too, but Reinhardt, a lot of older Overwatch agents who are coming back into the fold, which I kind of like to think that there's like these older people. The more experience, I think, the more dangerous some of these people can be. Like in
for sure.
Some of that stuff. But I just want to kind of go over her list, like of her moves right here. It's kind of interesting to me. So I think probably the most interesting thing she's got with her is that her biotic rifle, her main, her damage dealing thing. So she can shoot an enemy with it, and it does like a little bit of damage, but then it does some damage over time. Or you can shoot a friendly with it, like a teammate, and it'll do the reverse. It'll give you like a little bit of health right to start, and then a little bit over time.
That's perfect. We were all hoping for it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the nice thing is you don't have to switch between, you don't have to like toggle fire modes. It's just like if you hit an enemy, like the bullet knows it's a bad person. So,
because that'd be too difficult to switch.
Yeah, definitely. The next ability they have listed here is Sleep Dart, which they kind of showed at the end of her trailer or whatnot. And she puts a character to sleep with this little pistol gun. But if they take any damage over this 5-second period while they're asleep, they wake back up immediately. So it's not like if I shoot you, Joe, if you're an enemy with a sleep dart, you go down and everybody can come over to you and you just can't fight back. I mean, everybody could get in position and I'll shoot you at once.
The second you get ticked with something, you're awake and able to react.
Exactly.
So you could put a bunch of people to sleep on the point, and if nobody touches them, you can just take the point.
Well, it's only one at a time and it's a 12-second cooldown. So you wouldn't, that's not gonna.
So
it
you pick out the deadliest character on the point,
Yep.
put him to sleep, and move in, kill the others.
Yep, and then you focus him down. So it takes like a 6v6 and makes it like a 6v5, pretty quickly, which is really neat. Her biotic grenade is actually also very fascinating to me. So basically, Joe, what this does is that it's her only way to like self-heal, but she can throw it at her feet or at an ally's feet, and it gives them a little bit of health. And then it amplifies all healing done to that person for a duration, like a few seconds. So if I throw that at you and you're my teammate, and you get like a chunk of health back, and then for a little bit, like your bar is kind of covered in yellow. And then if I shoot you with my gun, it like heals you more. Or Lucio's heal does more to you. Or Mercy's heal does more to you. It like amps it by like 100%. So it's really good. The alternative is if I throw that at some enemies, I think it does a little bit of damage, but it also prevents any healing from them. So if you have a Bastion who's getting healed by Mercy, and you throw that on Bastion, he takes a little damage, and then he can't heal himself. Mercy can't heal him for like 3 or 4 seconds.
He's screwed.
Yes.
Or if they have a Lucio, sorry.
Yeah.
You can stop his effects on, a character that's maybe the most deadly or the one giving you the most trouble.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it stops, like, if you throw it on Lucio, if it stops his AoE heal. It just stops it to himself. If you hit both people with it, then it would. I'm not sure if, like, another person walks around a corner and then Lucio's affected by it. But, yeah, that's a good point. And then her ultimate ability, Nano Boost, basically ups your movement speed, like, doubles it, I think. I could be wrong on that, but it ups it a lot. It ups your attack damage, and it reduces incoming damage. So what I've been seeing is, like, people put it on, like, a Reinhardt, and then he just kind of runs into a point and just kind of like clears everybody out because he's really fast and he's just swinging his hammer like crazy. Again, it'd be really good on like a Reaper or like a Soldier 76 or a Pharah. She like her missiles do a lot already, but think of her ults with amped up.
Yeah.
And then on top with like a Mercy on top of that too, that'd be nuts. Or like on a Bastion.
A lot of things we could do, man.
So Joe, now that we talked about all these abilities, what do you think of her? I mean, obviously we haven't played her yet. She's out, I think, on the public test realm, and she's coming out to PC first, and then she'll come out to Xbox and PlayStation. But is there, when you think of her, do you think right away, like, oh, this is the character I want her to team up with, or is this someone that you're actually interested in playing?
I'm interested in playing her for sure. I think, obviously I'll give you first crack at it, pal.
Thanks.
But,
wow.
It sounds like she's going to be somewhat... You're going to have some skill to use her. Not saying I'm not skilled, but I'd like to Yeah, we play a lot together. So first off, I give you first crack at her, and any tips I can soak up from you, bonus, right? So then maybe I'll take a few shots with her and see how I do, and I think she'd be fun. It's kind of like it's a sniping healer, so you don't have to be right up in the mix. You can kind of hang back and torment the enemy, basically. So who's a good one to team up with her? Is that what you asked?
Yeah, or just you, when you think of her, I mean, with like a lot of supports, I think a lot of people typically say like, oh, it would be really good with this character or that character.
Yeah, like we've developed the whole tactic of Bastion Mercy, which annoys people.
It's a good one.
Yeah, but her and I don't know. I think I'm gonna have to play her a bit. Do you have any ideas who you'd tag her with?
Well, I know we already talked about those other 3 or 4, but I guess any offensive person would be sweet. I think something like Genji'd be a lot of fun too, because if you amp him and then he uses his ult, like he would be, it'd be quite devastating. Because he's just fast enough already, but you amp the damage, and yeah, that'd be pretty ridiculous. So I'd probably say that. And obviously we play with somebody who plays Genji all the time, so that probably wouldn't be hard to do. The other thing about her too is that I guess she's kind of more like a Hanzo, where if she's like on attack or something, she's kind of more like a mid-range. She's not as long-range, she can be, but if you sight in with her, she kind of does the Widowmaker, where it shows where her bullets are going. The path goes back to you, so people could find you. If you shoot from the hip, apparently it's pretty easy to do, and they don't have bullet lines.
Yep, which is perfect, right?
So yeah, so that's where you want to kind of be, I guess. So it's not as far back. You can snipe if you want to, like a little bit further in the back, but you can just kind of keep it at the hip and shoot from there. Yeah,
but you can stick to more concealed areas, basically.
Yeah, the problem is she doesn't have any real mobility herself. She can't really climb up anything, so she can't really get to those high spots all the time, like with Widowmaker. Yeah, she doesn't have any scramble or anything like Hanzo.
Oh.
For the trailer, it looked like she does, but she doesn't.
Yeah, the trailer was misleading because it looked like she could kind of run up little walls and stuff.
No.
Oh, that's a bummer. I was hoping you could get to some higher places and drop things down.
They show her on Temple of Anubis, like on the top of that like bridge or that arc in the very beginning, and I was like, oh, how did she get up there? And it's like, I guess they put her up there for the trailer.
Junkrat mine.
If only that worked. I've always thought that'd be kind of fun to have it usable on your teammates.
Yeah, does that not work?
I don't think so.
Does the Junkrat mine not bounce your own teammates too?
No, I don't think so.
Dang it.
Yeah.
And the Mei Ice Wall doesn't get anybody high enough to do that.
On some maps it can, like Hanamura, like that beginning gateway, she could get you up on that spot, but that's kind of a death trap anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. She looks cool regardless if she's got that kind of mobility. Yeah, so we'll see what they do with her.
I wish she did have that mobility, but whatever, it's all right.
Yeah. So with her coming out now, Joe, kind of them padding the support a little bit more, do you think going forward that they'll try to kind of ping-pong it a little bit where they go to another maybe defense character because they need another one? They need like basically one more now on both support and defense, I think, to have it all even across the board, which I think they're kind of striving for. I don't think they'll make another offensive person for a while, which makes sense because there's 6 of them.
See, to me, I don't know that I need another defensive. I'd almost rather see a tank. I'd rather see a tank and an offense.
Maybe that's the one that they need another one. I could be wrong. It might be tank that might need the next one. And I think that's coming down the line with either Doomfist or that other like big red robot guy we've seen in some of the
I think it might be tank.
It's that. Yeah, I think they're going to do it. They might do a tank because Reinhardt...
Diva, Winston, Roadhog, Reinhardt.
I think that's it.
4.
Yeah, I think they do need... Oh, yeah. There's a 5th one? I always feel bad because there's so many characters in this game, but then I'm like...
Yeah, Diva, Winston, Roadhog, Reinhardt.
I mean, I'm on the website. I suppose I could just look at it. Click a few button.
That's only 4. They need a 5th for sure.
And
then
Joe,
I'd like to see an offensive.
They do have a 5th. We keep forgetting about her. She's the off tank. It's Zarya.
Yeah, screw her.
You be nice to Zarya. No, they need another tank.
I would like to see another offensive or tank.
Yeah.
And defense, I feel like everybody loves playing Junkrat, Mei, Bastion's always in the mix, and so is Torbjorn. I mean, I feel like if there's ever a moment where I'm like, who do I go with? I'll go with the defense character because I just think they're fun to play.
Yeah, defense actually has 6. I was wrong about that. They have the most diverse group because they've got everything from they have 2 snipers and then 2 I would call like pure. Well, I don't know if we call them pure defenders, but like Junkrat and May are those kind of like straight up ones. And then you've got Torbjorn and Bastion who are just like hold the point. Like they don't go move around and they're not kind of scrumming it up. I guess Junkrat and May are kind of setups. Like they have a lot of things to set up kills.
Yeah.
Or Junkrat's like I'm gonna finish the kills because he's pretty good. Offensively, though, I don't think they need anymore. But another tank, because Reinhardt right now, for a lot of those things, like payload, he's like the go-to. Like, you just put him on the payload, he just sits there with his shield up, and he's just like, get behind me.
Here's the thing for me, Jimmy, is offense falls flat. I feel like the only one I really like playing a lot is Reaper, and I also like playing a little bit of Soldier 76. But who else do I pick out of that bunch? Well, I don't pick McCree, because I hate him. Genji, I just don't feel like I'm effective with him. Like, yeah, I can play him all right and all that, but I just feel like he's kind of weak sometimes.
Yeah, I get that.
I know he's not, but he kind of feels that way. I don't know. Who else on offense?
You pick Tracer from time to time.
I do pick Tracer from time to time. But still, I'd like to see another one that's kind of robust as Reaper or Soldier 76.
See, I like Pharah.
But it has some different abilities. And I forget about Pharah. I do like her, but I get bored with her sometimes.
Okay. I just like her because she's so different from the other, like, kind of... I feel like McCree, Reaper, and Soldier 76 are kind of in this, like, all right, we're all, like, we have to stay on the ground. We don't have a ton of mobility. I mean, Reaper does. But they kind of are more, like, just straightforward kind of gunners. Whereas, like, both, like, Tracer, Genji, and Pharah are all, like, pretty different in how they play. You know, because Tracer's just all over the place. Pharah's using a lot of mobility, and Genji's like everywhere. I mean, it's like, where the heck did he go? But yeah, you're totally right, Joe. I think if they make another offensive person, it's gonna have to be somebody that's very, or it just has to be unique, like even more so than the ones they've come up with so far.
I hope it mixes it up a bit, something to change the pace, because otherwise sometimes I get a little bored going offense, and then I start to feel like, well, who do I pick now? Well, if I'm on defense, I like picking defensive characters, and I always like to switch in with the support. But other than that, it's like, you know, that's where I'm like, there's a lot of choice, but I start to develop my own taste and style of gameplay. So it's like, I don't know who to go with, you know. But that's not to discredit the game. I mean, it's great, but I have my own play style. So sometimes I feel like the choices for me aren't always there.
Well, but we've been spoiled with choice because you're so used to playing like games like Titanfall and Call of Duty where there's only like really one choice, you know?
Yeah.
I think, you know, regardless, people will hate me for this, but I think if you're ever in confusion, just go with May. I think there's never a bad time to have a May on the team because she's always setting up kills. She's always slowing people down.
Offense or defense.
Yeah, she's not as strong on offense, but she can definitely clear a point if she needs to.
Yeah, she can do what you need her to, for sure.
I love her. Which, by the way, shameless plug, I did that May guide a little while ago. It was like last week, I think. It was pretty fun. And I just put up a Symmetra guide, by the way, Joe. I don't know if I told you that. I put that up today.
Yeah, you did.
Which you were in.
You told me you were going to do it. But.
Yeah, you were in it and you played May. And I was actually watching. There's a lot of times you set up, like there was one time we were playing, it was just Temple of Anubis, and you threw it into that room that's right off to the right of that little bridge area that you normally hold on defense, like that first, like there's like that little choke point with the health pack in there. You threw one in there and froze like 2 or 3 dudes, and I got like a Winston kill, and I killed Genji right before that, and I was like, so you're like, did you get any kills in there? I was like, oh yeah, like I was like, just chop them up. Symmetra and May together, man, that's a dirty combo, really good. I love it. Yeah, I'm excited for this one because I think a support really changes up the entirety of the game because it just makes any character much more of a threat, especially for Ultimate is all that it promises to be and is, you know, because it takes anybody, even like a Diva who doesn't typically do a lot of damage, but if she's moving faster and doing more damage and not taking as much, she becomes a much more viable tank for like however many seconds, like 8 seconds or something like that. It's like, wow, it's a long time. So I'm excited to see if that's something that's... I heard the ult also, by the way, is very easy to land. You just have to kind of look in the direction of the person you want to ult with and kind of fire it off. The problem with her gun is that sometimes your friends can body block shots that you have on enemies. So let's say you're going to try to like snipe out... She doesn't do headshots, by the way. But if you're going to snipe somebody and do a little damage to him and your buddy gets in the way, then obviously your buddy is going to take like a health shot instead. So you're like, get out of my way.
Oh, wow.
So you can't really do what you do with like May if you do that kind of icicle shot through like the Reinhardt like behind him. You can't really do that as much. But yeah, I'm pretty excited. But you're right, there should be a new tank. If they came out with a new tank, Joe, what, besides like a big shield, can you think of anything that you would be excited about doing that would really help the team push forward? You know what I mean?
Well, big thing about a tank, it doesn't necessarily mean shield either. I mean, like, you got Roadhog and Zarya's shielding big time. But like Roadhog, he's got his chain. He's got a lot of health, so he lives long. And he's tough. Can really deal some damage.
Yeah, and that's why people want to kill him, because he does so much. He's a threat.
And he takes a lot of shots to take down, so you got to concentrate on it. It takes time. Takes focus.
Yeah.
It takes focus away from the objective. So another tank, what would I think would be cool? I don't necessarily want to see any more robots. I know that red one's coming, but
and he might be in a mech suit. You know, it might not be a robot.
You know what would be cool? I'd be too out there.
What is it? No, come on, pitch it.
We already have a big gorilla, right? So what's a big Sasquatch?
We got to do Land Shark, Joe.
I think there is one that's like a shark in a mechanical suit type deal, and he's a support.
I think we saw concept art for like a fan. It was like a fan based concept art.
It might have been, yeah.
The closest shark one we've got is just Roadhog and that little shark skin.
But yeah, like what was that show when we were kids?
Street Sharks, baby.
Street Sharks, yeah. Something like that would be awesome. Comment below, let us know what you think. Any ideas for a Street Shark character in Overwatch?
Exactly. It's funny when you look back at those, because they're all just Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle ripoffs. Like, Turtles did so well back in the 80s, and like, we gotta make something like the Turtles. But yeah, that'd be pretty neat. I thought it might be kind of cheap to do this. It might be like an ultimate ability. What if it was like a big taunt where it forced every enemy character, they had to turn and look and shoot at that tank for like 4 or 5 seconds? Like, the guy would have like crazy armor, but when he did this, like, everyone had to look, like he yelled something or he hit a button. It was like a technological thing, and everybody had to look and shoot at him. Would that be something that would be kind of cool? Would it be too overpowered? I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know that it'd be effective enough.
Oh, I think it would be, because if everyone had to turn and shoot at this dude, what if he's like down the lane and then you got flankers coming in? They're like watching you come towards them, but you have to shoot at this guy, and Reapers just put the barrels in your face and just.
Yeah, that could be cool. I like the Street Shark idea, you know, and in Street Sharks, they could burrow in the ground or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of swimming in the ocean, it was in the ground.
Yeah, I guess that'd be more weird. Like... That right there almost sounds more like a flanker then, because if he's going to kind of be away from the team going under the concrete, you know. Does that make sense?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. But I'm picturing, you know, big hulking Street Shark, and he's running around, jaws of death sort of deal.
Like he pops out and he bite, like he's like Jaws, like he pops out of the ground and he bites somebody and kills them.
Yeah, give him some sort of, what would his weaponry be?
You know, it'd be kind of a cool idea is if he kind of had like the Lucio knockback ability. It was like a big kind of water gun. It didn't do damage, but it just like pushed you out of the way. It was like a fire hydrant. And it kind of just like pushed you off. It didn't do damage, but it just knocked you off the side. The problem would be is like on certain maps, like objective maps, that would be too overpowered, because he could just like push you off into a pit. Like, you know, on Elio, so he pushes you into that well. He just like you'd be like, I can't stop him. I don't know, something kind of along those lines. Like water based would be kind of cool, I'd think.
Yeah,
because we've already done electricity. I don't think we give him that flamethrower. I still want to see that, because we have ice and electricity. But I don't think we
talk about a flamethrower character, which wouldn't be bad.
I think it's gonna be the dude in the hazmat suit, but he's gonna have an acid gun. It's not gonna be fire. It's just gonna be like an acid, like he shoots green goop at you.
Really?
It's gonna be like That's just a guess. It's just concept art right now. But if they do make something with that, that would be kind of cool. But
yeah,
as far as
what would he be though? Would he be like a Mei?
Kind of, yeah. He'd probably be a defender. But for this shark guy, maybe would he go like melee attacks? Like maybe he just have claws.
No, I like the idea of like some sort of hydro gun or something.
Yeah,
and he can shoot out a concentrated pin needle stream like a water jet machine and kind of cut through you, and it does damage. Or he can do the Lucio hydro blast, where it like boom takes you out in one big blast. Not a huge wave, but like a blast of water just shoots out, and it's not a constant stream. It's just one boom
Yeah, they'd probably have to do a little more just because that, like, from what you're talking about, it's like a Zarya laser beam hybrid with Lucio's alternate fire on his gun.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I like the idea, though. I feel like the water jet thing, we're close. We're, like, really close to whatever it is. I don't know what... Man, I like that idea. I would love it to be a shark. I want a shark in this game, Joe. Big freaking shark.
Yeah.
Blizzard, we know you're listening to us right now, so just please send us the shark.
Come on, guys. We got more ideas here. We just need time to think about it off air.
Exactly, yeah.
I'll even draw something up. I can sketch, I promise.
If you would invite us out to your lovely headquarters in California, we would love to come and talk to your creative team, who probably has a bajillion ideas, and we'll be like, well, here's the problem with this guy, is he's not a shark. And they'll be like, but this is the next character going up. Be like, but he's not a shark. He needs to be a shark. People in the comments are going to be like, these guys like sharks way too much. Like,
hey, man. I love sharks.
It could be a tiger. I don't care. I like the idea of having these big animals be like Winston. Like I forget the name for it, but he's more like a human. He talks like a human and he kind of communicates that way. I think that's kind of interesting. They could play with that. So
there always has to be that humanoid factor, right?
Yeah, exactly. To some degree, you can't have just like a straight up beast unless it was like a Bruce Bannery type of thing where you're like a wimpy person that could talk to people and then it was like, guys, get out of here, I'm about to freak out, and then he just like gets enraged. That'd be kind of fun to have, like, and you couldn't really control him, and he would just like sometimes attack friendlies, like everyone's an enemy. He's like, which one are you? No, I don't know if they do a Jekyll and Hyde thing like that so much, but yeah, no, I think I like the water gun idea. Yeah, I think it could be cool. But I like the taunt thing. I think that could be fun. It could be very devastating. But they'll have to do something with their tanks, because either that or they're going to make like a tank that's like mortar fire, but that's maybe more like a defensive character if they sit in the back and just rain down mortars.
Roadhog's good. I like that he's got that like hook lasso deal and can pull you in and shoot you. That was creative. That was a good one.
Well, they've got that in pretty much most every like MOBA and stuff like that, Joe. It's like kind of a classic Blizzard staple to have like a dude with a chain, and they pull people in and they do damage to them. But this is the first time I've seen a character that does that much damage in any type of game like that, where they hook them in. Typically, it's like a tank who hooks them in and then everyone else finishes them off. But Roadhog, if he hits you right, he can just wipe you out. You're just like, oh, I got hooked in, I'm dead.
Yeah.
But there's something to Roadhog fights. Like if you have a Roadhog versus a Roadhog, that can be a lot of fun. You're like waiting to use your chain, and you're both like healing.
Chain him, and then he chains you, and then you try and heal, but he chose to shoot you, and he happens to get you right in the chin.
No. But yeah, I guess a tank would be next. Tank would be the next one.
Yeah.
So maybe during this timeline, I would guess maybe October. Maybe they'll try to go a little spookier vibe on it then. We'll see what they do.
Ooh. Good call, Jimmy.
Kind of creepy.
Between our shark idea and some sort of werewolf.
A shark wolf. A were-shark. He's like sitting there, he's like, during a full moon, I have to be alone. And like, why do you turn to a werewolf? And he looks at him, he's like, no, were-shark.
Oh my gosh. Just when you thought it was safe to go back into the water.
Yeah. Just when he thought it was safe to trick or treat by this river, there's a were-shark. He's like, I can't go in fresh water. It doesn't work that way. That'd be good. I'd like to see a were-shark. Oh, what if he traveled through, instead of going through the ground, like his water, he could shoot out in front of him, and then he could like kind of penguin slide on it, and he could like slide around on a track.
That's what May should be able to do.
That'd be so cheap. It'd be so cheap if she's like doing huge donuts around your team and you can't hit her, and she's just sliding around, smiling. Blizzard's going off in the middle. Oh my gosh, that would be great. All right, Joe. So, do you have anything else you want to talk about as far as Overwatch? Ana, I'm excited about. I'm excited about the prospect. And that's the cool thing about this game, is that when they introduce a new character, it gets you thinking about how that character works with other ones or potential ones down the line. Because it's like, all right, we have a support sniper now, and we have a regular sniper. They probably won't do another sniper for a long time, which is fine.
That's like that's half the game is, and half the fun is getting a team together and kind of picking characters that will complement each other well.
Yeah.
So, no, it's good. I'm hoping the next one comes out a little sooner than October, like you said, but I do like the Halloween-y vibe for a character. That could be cool. Or like a giant pumpkin.
Well, what I think they'll do, Joe, is they'll probably make one that might have like a spooky kind of edge to it, but will fit in the world, and then there'll be some costumes that are like hardcore Halloween type thing.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll ever do anything that's got kind of like not a straight up vampire, but like something that drains the health of somebody else and like
a leeching character.
Yeah, like a leech, cool. Like a techno leech kind of thing.
That'd be cool.
In that old Buzz Lightyear cartoon show, like it was like something Star Command. Anyway, there was like a techno vampire that would like bite robots and either drain them or it would like turn robots. And that'd be kind of fun, but if you didn't have a robot on your team, like an Omnic, you'd be like, well, I can't do anything with that.
Oh, what would happen if you had a character that could turn the opposing team's characters against themselves? Only one at a time, and you could like poison potion or something, or like this leech character could latch on and take control of them for a moment.
That'd be kind of cheap. I've seen that in other games and stuff where you can kind of do that. That'd be pretty neat.
Yeah, like, oh no, the leech character got me and he's taking control. So for that second, you're taking over their point of view and using their weaponry.
Yeah. That would be pretty cool. Right when you were talking about that, something clicked in my mind where I was thinking...
Your spidey sense was tingling.
It was tingling. There's like been kind of rumored that there's going to be another character like Diva, but the person doesn't get in the mech, but she kind of controls it from a distance, or it controls itself, and it's kind of like a golem type. Or maybe you have someone who has like 3 or 4 Omnic robot kind of bodyguards that are pretty good. And then for the Halloween skin, they'd all be like skeletons or zombies or something, and they'd like run around. I was like, that'd be kind of fun if you're like, you just got run down by these 3 guys and the little like the weak dude that you were who's like controlling them. You're like, go here, go there. Like,
that's cool. I like that.
That'd be kind of fun. We'll see what they do. That'd be a pretty complex character though. So we'll see how. That's my guess. I'm putting it down right now. So if in like late September they announce this thing, I'm gonna be like, I said it back in July. But yeah, so. Typically now that we're kind of done with the big things here, we're going to go into this next segment, but it actually kind of ties into a question. So we're going to start our questions kind of quote-unquote right now, a little bit out of order than we normally do. But don't worry, the segment everybody waits for will still be here, don't worry. But our first question comes from the man himself, Mr. Jorn Evers. He asks, you guys can buy only 3 of the games that are still coming out this year. Which do you get and why? So Joe, I'm going to let you start because we were just talking about creepy things. I think you have one locked and loaded that you want to talk about.
Friday the 13th.
Excellent date. What does that have to do with the video game?
Let me double check. That is exactly what it's called, right? Friday the 13th.
I don't know. Up. I assume it was just something. I just wanted it to be called Jason. Jason
Voorhees. Friday the 13th, the game to be announced.
Explain to me what this game is, Joe, because I only know a little bit about the movies, but I'm not a big horror guy.
Okay. So, one player controls Jason. Okay, anybody who's not familiar with Jason, Friday the 13th, he's the Jason Voorhees who was killed at a camp. He was like a disfigured child and made fun of, etc. And I think he drowned off the end of the pier or whatever in the lake at this camp. I forget what the camp is called. Come on. I'm not a fan. Anywho.
Camp Smiley Fun Times.
Oh, no.
That's it. Smiley
Camp
Fun Times.
Crystal Lake or something? It's something Lake, I think. Anywho.
Not as good.
Most of the movies are pretty good and I enjoy them. They're good classic horror Halloween time movies. Better than most, I feel. Iconic character, the hockey mask deal, big and brooding, has the machete. So the game is basically you're at this camp, Crystal Lake we'll call it, and nighttime, and the map changes. It's not always the same. Doors and buildings are not always the same every time you play. So basically, one player controls Jason. Okay. You grow in power as you terrorize or cause fear in the camp counselors. So 7 other players play as the camp counselors. You have to be scrappy and use teamwork and utilize the environment and stuff to outplay Jason.
Okay.
And not be found. And Jason can do cool things. Like he can kind of do like they explained it as like a rubber band effect, but it's like in a movie where, you know, the person's running away from the bad guy, right? And she's running one way and she's like looking over her shoulder behind her. All of a sudden she runs into him in front of her. He can do that in the game. 1 minute he's there and the next he can kind of, it's almost like a teleportation effect, but not.
Okay, I was gonna say, you need to explain if it's a teleportation thing, because when you said rubber band effect, I thought you meant like Mr. Fantastic, where I was picturing Jason like stretch himself out between two trees and he like launched himself.
It's more of a teleportation or a little time lapse, and you can like jump in front of the person. Okay. Obviously, you have to like see them and be in chase with them.
Okay.
But it's pretty cool. They describe it online here. I was on I guess it's IGN. They described it as it's like a blend of Evolve and Until Dawn.
Yeah, it's asymmetrical kind of multiplayer type of thing.
Yeah, so and they say that the gameplay is awesome. The graphics look good, the setting is really good, the maps are awesome. And the kills that you can do with Jason are just downright amazing, they say. So I think it's really cool. The fact that, okay, and not even just to be Jason. I mean, sure, you're pretty like badass. You're Jason. You know, you can peer in windows and stuff. You don't even necessarily have to kill the counselors. But if you cause that fear in them, it allows them to be discovered more easily, I guess.
Okay.
So more to come on it, you know, we don't know when it's coming out yet, but man, I think that's cool. And even more so in the aspect that, okay, say me, you and Drew or whoever, we get together and we're like, let's play Friday the 13th tonight. It's Halloween or whatever, you know, we'll all be the camp counselors and we all have to like come up with a game plan and strategy to get away from Jason. But the whole time your heart rate's going because you're thinking, oh man, did he see us or where's he at? You know, every move you make is like, he could be right there. I think that's cool.
Didn't you tell me also that not all the camp counselors can make it out? Like only 4 of them can or something?
Yeah, I don't think all of them can make it out.
So it's kind of like, even though we're working together, we still got to make sure, like, be like, as long as I got my ticket out of here, we're fine. But if that
but you don't know whether you'll die or not.
Well, nobody does. I mean, but you could hinder your friends potentially if you wanted to.
Yeah, like, you could make it out and they could die, or vice versa. You know, it's total choice option based. You know,
and you can work together to put Jason. I think they said like what in the ground or something.
Yeah, which is like an ultimate like the holy grail of the game. If you can put him in the ground and kill him, it's not kill him, but put him in the ground. That basically means you won as the counselors.
Okay, I assume that means
you all live then or something.
You just like dig a pit, like everyone just starts digging a pit, and you're like, lure Jason into the pit, and then you just start like he falls in there, and you just throw dirt on him. We're like, we won.
I'm in the ground. I'm not sure. No. So like I said, we need to know more, but I like the concept. I think it's cool, and I like that whole intense feeling of mystery and the unknown that you don't know where he is, or you catch a glimpse of him. You guys are in the counselor cabin. All of a sudden you see him looking in the window, peering through, and then he disappears. Come on, man. Then he knows where you are. You're like, what do we do? You know, what's our game plan? Where are we going to go? That sort of thing. Or where should we hide next? I think that's cool.
Yeah. It sounds a little bit like this game that's out right now called like, it's like Dead by Daylight or something, or it's like 4v1, kind of similar. But question, can Jason trip and fall over? Because I like to think that if you're trying to scare someone by a window and you're trying to like peer in there and you tripped, they thought you were trying to be creepy, but like really, in fact, you were just like clumsy dead Jason, and you're like, oh, and you like fell on the ground, and you're just like, dang it, like my darn legs
fell on my machete. Oh, dang it!
He's just looking at himself, the machete sticking out of him. He's like, oh, not again. You know, that's how Jason talks. But it's
but apparently you can play him in different ways. It's not always the same. Some people take the more fear tactic with the peering in windows and making sounds and stuff like that. Other people just take the guerrilla brute force style where they just jump in there and start hitting and smashing people.
Okay, you mean guerrilla like the animal, not like guerrilla tactics of like Jason's hiding in a bush and he's like, all right, here's what I gotta do. Like, I gotta sneak out and attack the generator and then go away.
No, I definitely mean more like gorilla the animal, just running there, punching and swinging and slicing and dicing. Other people play it more methodically and just one by one hunt them down and kill them, you know? So I think it'd be fun, Jimmy. The three of us or whoever else get on there, and we're just working together to survive. And it sounds like it'd be intense, and I like it more than that. What's the
Dead
other
by
one?
Daylight or
Dead
something?
by Daylight. Yeah, I like it more because it's more iconic. It's Jason, you know.
Sure.
Come on, I'm all about it.
Well, it's supposed to be. It says to be announced, right? But it's supposed to be this year. That's kind of what it's saying. So we don't know exactly when it's going to come out, but to fulfill the requirement that Joran put forth. I like to think there's like another option with Jason where everybody's running around trying to do whatever it is, and there's like an option with Jason where you can kind of go sit down at like a picnic table with like some tea and kind of put your feet up, and it's just like that's your biggest scare tactic. Like everyone's like, he's just chilling outside right there in the light, and he just kind of like wave. You can wave at him, just like I'll kill you soon. Just taking a little breather here, you know.
Just the most relaxed little wave.
Oh, it'd be cool if you could like, and that this isn't, I'm sure, in the movies, but it'd be fun if you could do like a dark pact with Jason. Like you don't tell anybody else. Like he comes to kill you, you're like, wait, I'll help you kill everyone else if you spare my life, and then you help him kill everybody else. But it's like one of those like I'm like running alongside you, and you've already betrayed the group, and like you slam a door in my face, like Joe, let me through. What are you doing? And he'd be like, I'm sorry, man. I have to make sure I get out of here, kind of thing. That would be great,
dude. That would be
so
awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, and it might be within the realm of possibility.
But then Jason would end up probably killing that last one. He'd be like, all right, Jason, I'm going home. And he'd be like, he'd just shake his head. Be like, we're on a deal, buddy. Like, come on.
We shook on it.
Yeah, come on, dude. That's pretty cool. Okay, well, we'll see about that game. At the very least, I'm sure you'll get it. Maybe we'll even review it if it's worth it.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I have no idea if that's going to be like a fully priced game or if it's going to be like a $30, $20 type thing. I honestly don't know.
Full price. So. It's too good not to be.
Joe loves his horror. You know, it'd be a lot better if it was like, if you could change out, like skin the characters. Like sometimes you're a xenomorph. Joe would be like, yes.
Yes.
Sneaking around.
Yes.
Stabbing people. All right, so that's Joe's first one. We'll go into mine. I'll start with the one I'm pretty excited about. Actually, weirdly enough, I kind of forgot about it, but I'm a huge fan of this franchise. But Gears of War 4 comes out in October. I've been a really adamant supporter of Gears, kind of since it came out. I remember seeing that game on 360. It was like one of the launch titles or very close to that, and I saw it at a buddy's house, and I was like, whoa, this game looks like the next generation of games. Like, you're chainsawing through people. It's dark. I didn't go home and get it right away, but that first game, Joe, was very scary. Like, there's a lot of horror elements to that game, and they kind of taper off in the second and third ones. They become more of like big action films. But that first one, man, you do some really creepy stuff. And it seems like with this one, they're kind of going back to that slower pace, kind of like darker atmosphere where you have to kind of go into spaces that, obviously it's going to be legitimately darker and kind of fight new enemies because they kind of, spoiler alert, they killed off like all the enemies possible from the old game, so they kind of have to reintroduce and make some new monsters. So that's really cool to me because it's not going to be like, it's just the same old guys. I know how to fight this. It's like, this is brand new. Mm-hmm. And some of the stuff that I really love, like the cover mechanic in the game, which is one that's been kind of copied and used by a lot of other people because it's so dang good. They're kind of changing that a little bit too. It's interesting. They have like the new monsters, like you can shoot these things down from the ceiling and they become cover. And then you can hide behind it, but if that gets focused down enough, like these egg sacs you're hiding behind can pop out and murder you. Joe, what are you laughing about over there? Joe's giggling about something. What is it? Share with the class.
I'll share it later.
Oh, gosh.
For Timekillers, possibly.
Okay, good. I was like, please let it be something that actually pertains to this. I just need, if I'm looking at you on Skype, you can look back at me, all right? But yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. Some new weapons in there. One of them is kind of like Ratchet and Clanky, where you're kind of shooting off a bunch of like bandsaw blades.
Oh, cool.
Which you'd think like one of those to the face would probably drop you. I don't know exactly what the power is on those, but also the lighting and the effects and all the storm and stuff, really fascinating. I'm really excited because it looks like they're really pushing some of the Xbox tech.
Yeah, so. I remember watching the trailer for that and I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was really good, yeah.
But yeah, and the nice thing too is co-op campaign. I mean, it's not going to be the 4-player that Gears of War 3 had, that's fine because it was pretty robust. But they don't need to do that with this one. They kind of return to form. Maybe they'll do that in subsequent games. And after Judgment, which was more like DLC for Gears of War, it'd be nice to see a full-fledged, brand new group of characters and not just like a prequel side story thing. So
sure, yeah,
I'm excited about it. So I'll definitely be getting that one. Be reviewing that one.
Keep me updated on it. I might like to check it out myself.
Fair enough. All right, Joe, it's your turn. What's your next one?
Titanfall 2.
What? Titanfall 2? What's this game?
just a little game, not very popular. It's okay. Like the best game ever. It's like,
well, the first one you're talking about.
Well, both of them. The second one's gonna be good. It's gotta be. You know, it's building off of the first one. You can't go wrong.
What's so great about the first one?
Well, you have 3 Titan options. So you start out battling as a pilot, basically Call of Duty style, except for you can wall run much more fluidly, jetpack much more fluidly.
Yep.
The gameplay is just more fluid overall. Not as many customization options as like a Call of Duty, but I feel like they're going to change that, go in a different direction for the second one, which I really want to get. So they've introduced some new options in the second one. Looks like the Titans are now going to have a really cool melee weapon with a sword.
Only like one class.
Yeah, one class, which is understandable. I mean, that's fine. But then they've got a grapple hook. Like, as you're falling from the sky, if you see another pilot falling from the sky next to you that ejected out of their Titan 2, grapple to them and kick them in the head.
Yep.
Come on, how can you not like that? So that one's big on my list, and I know you're excited about it as well. So as soon as that one comes out, I think we're both running to Best Buy to gobble that one up. So.
Yeah, geez, man, you took my. Well, I'm just gonna. Titanfall 2 is also one of mine, so I'm just gonna go into a little bit more, kind of embellish. I like the thought that they're trashing the 3 old classes of Titan, and now there's 6 new ones, 6 brand new ones that have special abilities, special weapons that are specific to them.
6.
So it's kind of that. We talked about this before, Joe. Where there's like a flamethrower guy, like the Scorch one, and the Ion one, which is like a laser guy. And it's kind of like Pokemon in that you kind of look at him, you're like, that type I can see from a distance. Like, I have advantage on that guy at a distance, but he gets up close, the advantage shifts. Or maybe you just never have an advantage against that guy at all. So it's really interesting to me. It's just kind of cool to see the evolution. I mean, like the Strider class, for instance, there's the new Ronin class, which is the one we're talking about, the sword, where it's like, when I played as the Strider, I always thought, why don't I have a melee weapon? If I can dash like 3 times, I should be able to get up in someone's face and just like slice them down.
Yeah.
So now I've got the big electrical katana thing, just rip people in half. Man.
Oh, yeah, that is such a good game. I like that. 6 new Titan classes.
And gravity grenades now. Also Call of Duty, I think, has that, but like you throw that and people get thrown up in the air. I don't know if you can still shoot while you hit with the gravity thing, like the Zarya thing. Can you still shoot out of it? Or are you like completely immobilized and you're like, help me. And then there's that decoy grenade or whatever that was too. Remember that guy's like following him and he's like, I got him. And then he goes for this decoy and he kills it, and then the actual guy comes out from behind him cloaked and does like a melee kill in the back. He like flips him over and stabs him with a data knife.
Oh, I hope the melees are better.
Yeah, the kick was garbage.
Awful.
It's really bad. It's so unwieldy. Like the punches were fine, but the Rock'em Sock'em robots, which I think the developers even mentioned, they're like, yeah, the melee combat, especially for Titans, was just garbage because you just run up and you just like punch and you go flying. And
it was always like my last option. Like if I ran out of ammo or shooting and it was close range, I just big punch.
Oh yeah,
I hope this one does it.
I like to have that electric smoke and roll in there and then try to like kind of keep them in there and be like, all right, let's fight.
Always did the electric smoke. Couldn't go wrong. I hope that doesn't go away. I hope that's still an option. I think they have to, because if a pilot's on your back, you better be able to do something.
Yeah, unless you have like a move called Back Scratcher and you just melee, but your Titan just reaches over and is like, I got you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Titanfall 2 we're both really looking forward to. That's the end of October, I believe. But the last game on your list, if I remember correctly, is coming out like a week before that.
Well, I've got a few on my list, but if I can only choose 3.
You can only choose 3. That's what Yoren said.
So my third one's going to be Forza Horizon 3.
Yeah, okay, I was wrong. I thought it was going to be Battlefield 1. But Forza, okay, that's a nice mix, because right now you've got like a horror game, you got a shooter, and you got a racing game. So what's about Forza Horizon 3 that's gotcha?
Well, first of all, I like that it's because I've always been a fan of Forza. I've never owned Forza Horizon 2. Was there even a 1 Forza Horizons?
Yeah, I think there's Forza Horizon 2.
Yeah, so I know people rave about Forza Horizon 2 because it's more open world, take your customized cars anywhere and everywhere, do challenges across the map and stuff like that. I'd like to do that, like say me, you, and Drew get in on it. We all have our custom cars that we just love, and we go out racing and doing crazy objectives and stuff like that. So I like that idea. Yeah, so, and I like to mix it up with a racing game. So I think that's good. I got a shooter, I got that horror game, which is all suspenseful and, working together, teamwork. Then just a fun all-around racing game, pedal to the metal, give her hell kind of deal.
Will you be okay driving really fancy cars in the rainforest and on the beaches? Knowing you, I would think that you'd have at first maybe a little problem because like if you're trying to be in real life, which Forza or the Horizon games don't really do so much. It's like the Forza straight games, like those ones I should say, or the ones in the numbered franchise. Those are like legitimate real life. Yeah. Like straight up. And now it's like I'm gonna take my Ferrari and race it on the beach. It's like you're gonna race it once.
Unless it's an off-road vehicle, it's not going in the dirt and mud.
I'm going to beat Joe with like a really fancy car that would never last on the beach for more than like 3 seconds. I should be like, yeah, it's all right. I put a snorkel on my Lamborghini. It's going to be fine.
Watch me hit this jump.
Yeah, what? It'll be total. I won't bottom out or anything. My bumper will be just fine. What I didn't get was like the race they were showing off was like a dude in a Jeep that was getting towed around on like a helicopter. And you were kind of like racing the dude who was in that Jeep being towed around while you were on the ground, and at the very end, he got dropped off from the helicopter and tried to race you to the finish. So that's kind of what Horizon is, a little more goofy, not necessarily follow the rigid rules.
But I'm fine with it because it's the realistic graphics and everything. The cars are still amazing, just like Forza's known for. That's why I liked Forza 5 so much. Sure. I had a blast playing that. I played a lot of Forza 4. Haven't gotten 6, but when 7 comes out, I'm all over it. Yeah. I tend to skip 1 in between normally, but I'm a big car guy. I used to own a nice blacked out Mustang. I still miss that thing today. Anywho, I'm a car guy, man. I love it. I love all types of vehicles. I'm just the gearhead, so I need that in my life.
I knew you were going to say the gearhead.
You leaf. I need that in my leaf.
I need it in my leaf. Mama, I need it in my leaf. That's really good. I joke about this with you because I always say you're a car guy, but you're not necessarily like, you don't want to work on these. Every time I think of Gearhead, I think of a dude who's like covered in oil every day who's like, yeah, I'm just underneath the hood of a car.
If I had the time or there was a lot of money in that, I would.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'm all about it.
Yeah, he needs it in his leaf. Anyway.
I need it in my leaf. I'm not addicted. I just really need it in my leaf.
Trying to think. My end game for anybody who's ever been interested in my hopes and dreams, but I've always wanted to like start going off and interviewing people, for the channel, and I would just love to have Joe go talk to the Forza guys. They're like, yeah, we heard this, like, you need it in your leaf or something. They're like, yeah, it was my life. I was having a weird day. Don't worry about it.
It's been a long day, guys. Give me a break. Don't judge.
Don't judge me, alright? If you sound like that, we apologize. Anyway, so that's your last game. So you got Friday the 13th, you got Titanfall 2, and you got Forza Horizon.
However, I'm just going to mention briefly, I'm not really limited in real life. I'm definitely buying Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty, so yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. It's funny because I've heard people say like, oh yeah, you guys are like really into shooters, and then I was like, Joe's going to just rattle off like 3 shooters here, and it's just going to be like, that's it, like just shooters. We're all shooters.
No, but I branched out. I did the horror game. That's my number one choice. Number one before either of those. Titanfall 2, I obviously had to throw in there. I just love that game too much, or that franchise so much. Yeah, and Forza Horizon, I just hear people rave about the second one, so this one's got to be good as well, right? So, plus sure. I know you're interested in it, and you're not a big racing guy, and Drew, I know, is really interested, so.
I don't know if I'll pay full price, to be honest with you. I don't know if I'd buy it for $60.
Well, I'll buy it for $60 and let you know how it is.
Good, you can review it then, too.
But either way, that's what I'm big on. Notice how every one I picked was big on the multiplayer aspect, playing with my buddies.
Yeah, that's very true.
What I'm all about. So
that's good because there's gonna be some sweet juxtaposition here with my last pick, and I didn't put them in any necessarily like specific order, but the last one I'm picking is a huge game, Joe, that probably doesn't mean a lot to you. Final Fantasy 15. Joe, I've been waiting for this game for like a decade. I'm not even kidding. It got originally announced alongside like Final Fantasy 13 as Final Fantasy 13 Versus, and then went into like this horrible development cycle where it just couldn't get any traction. Finally, it's coming out at the end of September. It's going to be huge. I don't think there's going to be any multiplayer to it, and that's just fine with me. That's okay. I don't always like to do everything multiplayer, because then I feel like if I'm playing a game, like if I play Overwatch without you guys, I feel kind of bad. Or I'm like, oh, should I be doing this without them? Like,
as you should.
Whereas like Final Fantasy or like an RPG like that, a huge JRPG like that, I don't feel as bad about, sinking time into other times. I think it'll be really fun to stream. I think we'll have a good time with it. Anybody who watches those, it'll be fun. But it's going to be huge. The summons are like bigger than ever. It's like this really cool, like I love the aesthetic. The look of this game is just gorgeous. It's just beautiful. I mean, they're throwing everything they've got at this. Besides just the game, they've got, like an anime. They've got like a movie coming out that's like a prequel to it. They got all this stuff. But the game itself, I think, is going to have a lot to it. I'm really excited. The combat system is one that I'm a big fan of. It's very similar to the old Kingdom Hearts games, where it's not just like standing in like the turn-based battle system. I like that too, I really do. But this is kind of fun. It's more fluid, and I get to, kind of like if I want to move my guy from here to here behind the thing I'm fighting, I get to do that. Whereas in other Final Fantasy, you just kind of stand in a line for the most part. There are other ones that deviate, like 12, and 13, I guess. But it looks so good, man. I'm so excited. And the big thing that I love about this one, kind of like with Overwatch a little bit too, is that now developers are really taking feedback a lot. Mm-hmm. And for what they did is they released a demo a while ago, and then they released an update or a patch to that demo, which usually never happens because people were telling them what they wanted to upgrade and stuff. And then they just released another demo, and it's just been like they've been really trying to get people back in the good graces of Final Fantasy, because after 13, and there's like 13, like there's like a second and a third part to that, people were really angry at the whole Final Fantasy franchise. So hopefully this will do better. And I'm really stoked for it. So
yeah. I don't have much to add. Obviously, I don't know much about Final Fantasy 13. I'm not a big RPG guy either, so
sure.
But I've heard a lot about it. I know you're big into it, so it's understandable you choose that. I kind of expected it. So
it's gorgeous.
It looked. I will say, I mean, it looked kind of neat from the trailer I saw and all that, but just not my personal taste. But
that's all right. We'll get you in the chat, Joe. And you can watch a little bit.
No, I'll
and
check
be like,
it out.
What's going on? You'd be like, what's that huge monster? Like, don't worry about it. It's okay. He's with me. He's with me. But yeah, Final Fantasy is it's a very different, and they always change. Every game is very different. Like 14 was a big MMO, and they kind of did like a update on that, and people have been liking that. So hopefully this is the return of Final Fantasy to the loving embrace of the gamers. But yeah, I'm just, oh my goodness, it's about dang time.
Go in with low expectations. That way you're not let down.
Yeah, that's one of my things. It's like going with low expectations, and they yield high results.
Mm-hmm.
Along with adapt and overcome, which I should always say at the end. But yeah, I think those are our three. So again, just to wrap up, Joe, Friday the 13th, Titanfall 2, Forza Horizon 3. I'm over here with Gears of War 4, Titanfall 2 as well, and Final Fantasy 15. All good games. Actually, I'm actually excited about all of them in one way or another, which is cool.
Even mine?
Even yours, for sure yours, yeah. Because even if I don't get Forza Horizon 3, I will definitely be watching you play it and talking about it, because I think it looks like fun. I just wonder how much there is in it, and the fact that there isn't like structured racing as much. I wonder if it's like if you, Drew, and myself are like sitting around, I'm like, all right, I'm going to make a race. Can I just like start a race like whenever I want?
I think you can do that sort of thing. I think it's going to be a lot like 2. I think you can do stuff like that, but I think the map also has like objectives on it and stuff. I think it might be Need for Speed kind of esque.
Yeah, I just wonder, like after Grand Theft Auto and stuff, like even though we've had problems with it, it's always weird to play a racing game where I cannot like get out of the vehicle. Like, when you stop and you're like, oh, I should look at this. I'm like, I'll get out of my vehicle. It's like, no, you are your vehicle. Like, I am the Ferrari. Like,
I'm okay with that.
Like, your Ferrari goes into a hotel and sleeps on the bed. He's like,
if I owned a Ferrari, that's what I would do with it.
Oh, geez, Joe, in this climate? No. But yeah, so it'll be fun either way. I'm excited. And that, I forget, is that one September or October?
I thought it was September.
Okay.
It's like right before Titanfall 2.
Okay, that one's October, but it's in there somewhere. September, it's weird. September and October are typically huge months. And November, the beginning. But they all come out right then, so that way November, the back half, and December are like crazy buying months for all the holidays.
Yeah,
all
but
right.
Jimmy, I'm holding you to this. We got to get Friday the 13th. I don't care if we waste money or not, but I want to try it, and I think it'd be fun. I think we'd have a blast.
If you want to see us play Friday the 13th, please let us know in the comments below, and you will find our PayPal link also below that. If you want to donate crazy sums of money and say, this is for Friday the 13th, don't you troll me with 13 cents or something.
Well, no, but please let us know if you'd like to see that.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like it'd be fun. 7 of us against a crazy killer. Intense, right? You guys could give us suggestions in the chat on what you think we should do. Allows you guys to interact with us and determine the gameplay a bit more. Yeah, let us know. Let's get after it, huh?
Yeah, we'll see. That would be cool. Yeah, like you tweeted us, but we'll go over our Twitter handles in a little bit.
Yeah.
Next question, Joe. That was a great question, Joran. Thank you so much. It sparked a lot of conversation. We were going to talk about this anyway, but it was like when I saw it from him, I was like, sweet, let's go into that.
Yeah.
We're going to go into, again, one of our favorites. Ana always has good questions. What would you consider the worst movie made that you've ever seen? Why do you find it bad? And what things could be done for improvement? So I know I kind of talked to you about this before, Joe. If you don't have one yet, I definitely have one locked and loaded. I'm full of vitriol. The venom sacs. That sounds weird, but I'm full of poison. I'm ready to go. I'm angry. Don't give me that look. Don't. Maybe people would like to watch this because people will be like, what's he doing? Anyway, do you have one?
No.
Okay, I'll go first.
So I'm like waiting in suspense here, like with bated breath.
One of the easiest things, maybe not the easiest things to do, but if you have a plot for a film that has already been done in another version, let's say it's been done in a video game, maybe it's been done on a TV show, or maybe even a cartoon show. And there's the whole plot. You could just pick any part of it. Maybe there's multiple seasons of it. You could just pick a chunk of it and be like, we'll use this plot. I feel like that wouldn't be too difficult. I mean, maybe it would be hard to bring it to life in some circumstances, but the plot itself would be pretty much, here you go. Pretty simple, at least, right? Well, one of my favorite TV shows of all time. Cartoon, if you will. Western anime, maybe some would call it. Avatar, The Last Airbender. So guess what, Joe? A few years ago, as you know, little director by the name of M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong. Sorry, Shyamalan. I get really angry about it. Thinks he's very hot, very great. They're calling him the next Spielberg. He did Signs, he did, Sixth Sense. People think he's the best. He gets to direct The Last Airbender, a live adaptation of this beloved cartoon, loved by children, loved by adults. Parents love it, grandparents love it, babies love it, straight from the womb, I assume. What did they do, Joe? I'll tell you what they did. I'll tell you what Shyamalan did. He massacred it on the screen. I have never, ever shaken in a theater out of rage like I did for that movie. I'm sitting there with my cousins, and my cousins are watching this. They have no emotional investment in this franchise. And they're like, oh, it's kind of all right. And I would say, maybe if you didn't know, you might think that. But no. No. Not only is it a bare-bones version of the first season of the plot, which I don't know how you're going to try to fit in, 18 episodes or something like that into one movie. He butchers all the names because he wants to make it a little different. So let me tell you about some of the names, Joe. Main character's name is Aang. His now will be called Ung. Sokka, comic relief. His name is Sokka. He also has no comic relief anymore. He's quite bland. Not only did they take the Native American water tribe kind of characters and make them completely white, they took all the kind of Chinese or maybe Japanese Fire Nation people from the cartoon that looked like that and made them all Indian. Changing names, mispronouncing things. Firebenders can't bend fire without a torch. They need to have fire nearby. They can't just make it. They blow the entire plot. They show the bad guy the main bad guy, who in the show you don't see until like the last season. You see a silhouette of the guy. They build up to it. In this one, they just show him walking around. The fight scenes are ridiculous. There is, Joe, I've told you this before probably. There's a moment where there's these earthbenders, and they can, if you don't know about this show, they kind of bend elements and they move things. Like, for the earthbenders specifically, like, they move this rock. And in the show, like, if you or I kind of did like a punch and we're an earthbender, I could throw a boulder at you. There are like 4 or 5 dudes who are doing this like crazy like formation like kind of dance, and you see one little boulder float across the screen and go flying into somebody. It's like, it doesn't take that many people to do this. It drives me nuts. And then, so Joe, I'm thinking, all right, maybe the finale will be good. I've seen stuff in the trailers. Maybe the fights are kind of, they could be interesting. There's some slow-mo stuff in there. It's great. We'll see some live action stuff. At the end of season 1 of Avatar, The Last Airbender, Aang, there's these 2 spirit like that are in these fish. One of the fish gets killed, and Aang communes with this other one and turns into this gigantic water beast. And he's like destroying this entire Fire Nation fleet. He's just like ripping it apart. He's destroying everything. I'm like, okay, we'll get to see that, right? No, we don't. Aang summons, Ung summons a gigantic tsunami-style wave that he's going to drop on all these Fire Nation guys. He brings it up. It's like over their heads. They're all freaking out. I'm like, all right, I guess I don't get the beast, but we'll get to see this like crush these guys. They're up in the North Pole, where the city is. And then decides not to do it. I forget why, but he retracts it, and he doesn't splash it down on everybody. Out of my mind, Joe. So, Anna, the short is, that is the worst movie I've ever seen. What they could do to make it better, pretty much anything. And I think I told you why I find it bad. Seriously, it's not that hard. I get that bringing a cartoon to life would be difficult, but for goodness sakes, just don't change all the names and change all the motivations or change all the characters. I mean, it just, you rip the soul out of everybody, and you made Appa the flying bison look like some terrifying centipede monster. It's like, I mean, it's kind of supposed to look like, but it's Shyamalan's the biggest twist, Joe, I've told of anybody that Shyamalan's ever done, because people are like, oh, he does twists. He made a great franchise horrible. That was the biggest twist he's ever done.
So,
I'm sorry.
Sorry, are you not done? Keep going.
I'm done. I'm sorry. My anger, the poison in me it's out for now. It will refill, but it makes me very angry.
So, coincidentally, on Wikipedia, which, yeah, whatever, take it for a grain of salt, but in the 2010s, the absolute worst movie of 2010 was The Last Airbender. Is
it just like on critics or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. And the fans, and the sad thing was all the fans went and saw it that first weekend, so it did kind of all right, because everyone who was an Avatar fan had to go see it, because it was just like, oh, like, it's like if they make a live-action Pokemon movie, Joe, which they've been talking about doing, it's like, that first weekend, even if it's garbage, it'll be too late. It'll already make a ton of money. That one's going to be even worse, but as far as just like, it would make a lot. Not that it'll be a worse film, but yeah, I completely agree with that. It's horrible. It's bad. They break the rules that are fundamentally set forth by the show. They just, oh my goodness. The acting is just so bad. It is so bad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
No, you keep it going, man. I'm trying to think of what's my worst movie that I've seen.
I wish I could say it was like a franchise that I hadn't seen, or it was just like a movie where I was like, oh, this standalone movie, I think it's really bad for these reasons, and you could change this fundamentally, but I think if I put an emotional spin on it, it's a little more entertaining for you guys, and I'm sure some of you would agree. Maybe some of you love it. If you love that movie, it's fine. I just would never trust your opinion on anything ever again. I kid. But seriously, though. Joe, what do you got?
The only one that comes to my mind, and it was a movie I actually walked out of the theater on. It was like a quarter of the way through, and I walked out. It was probably more of a mistake on my part.
A quarter of the way through, Joe?
Yeah, it wasn't even halfway, and I was like, I'm over. Or it's over, I'm out. Threw my hands up, walked out. So it was probably more on my part than anything. It wasn't geared towards me, So basically, so has anybody ever heard of Aragon, the dragon movie or whatever?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is so good, dude. All right, please hit me with it.
So I thought it'd be some cool dragon movie, right? Like sweet, and maybe medievally. So my dad and I are at this motocross race over in western Wisconsin. Practiced on Saturday, race on Sunday. We end up going, that night we're bored, so we go grab dinner and we go to the movie theater thinking, we'll catch a movie, whatever, and then go back to the hotel and have sleep it off. So we go to the movies. There's nothing really out at the time. I'm like, well, Aragon about some dragon, that could be cool and badass, right? We go in there. There's maybe a few other people. We're watching. I don't remember the details of the movie. That's how much I put it out of my mind and don't care about it. But it seemed corny, cheesy, cartoony. The dragon was stupid. And I think it got to the point, like, probably half hour in, not even, maybe 25 minutes. My dad and I start looking at each other and we're just like, this sucks. And we got up and walked out.
Nice.
So maybe it was geared towards the younger generation. I'm sure that's the gist of it. It was geared towards younger kids, but
yeah,
I should have known better. So horrible movie, stupid. There are others, I just can't think of them, and there are movies that are really good that I'm just critical of that I think could have been better. But as far as worst movies I've ever seen, actually like tried to watch, that's it. Others I've tolerated and I find good things in them, but that movie was stupid.
So Joe, I've got a little background for you about Aragon. I read the book.
The book was really good, right?
Book's
That's
great.
what I heard. That's why I went to see it.
Yeah, I couldn't get into the second one. I don't know if I gave it another shot. I've heard they're pretty good. But that, besides having actually a pretty fun movie tie-in or video game tie-in, it's actually pretty good. It's like a co-op thing. Check it out. It's on PS2. But what is funny about that movie is there's some, like, one big problem with it is that it kind of speeds up things where it doesn't necessarily need to. One instance of that is they show Saphira is the name of the dragon, or Sapphire or something, and she's like a baby dragon for a little bit, and then there's like one scene where she just turns into a big dragon. She just turns into one. But like in the book, she actually like ages and like grows like normally. And so that was like a really jarring scene for like me, because that's like the fun of the book is like these two kind of find each other and learn together how to kind of, like, he doesn't have a saddle for a while, so he has to ride kind of bareback on her, and it like cuts his thighs and his legs because she's got scales all over. So it's like, that would have been cool. Another thing is later on at the end of the movie, he falls off her, the main character, whose name I do forget, and he ragdolls for what feels like a minute. And I was there with my buddy and this other girl at the time, and she was getting angry at us because he and I were like crying because we thought it was just the funniest thing because he just kept going. I'm like, dude, he's ragdolling.
So you saw the movie?
I saw the whole movie. Yeah, dude.
All right.
So I was like, oh, this is going to be cool. And then at the end, they even show that the main villain has his own, spoiler, has his own pet dragon, which is supposed to be like a big, like, no, that's like, again, like the Avatar thing. They don't tell you about any of that stuff until later on, because being a dragon rider is a huge deal in this world. But at the end of this movie, they're like, oh, he's actually got a dragon too. And I was like, oh, okay. Guess you should have brought that out sooner or something, dude. Like, it was like, it's bland, unfortunately, but the book's great.
So good book, movie let down.
Christopher Paolini, I think, is the guy. And he was pretty young, the guy who wrote all these, which is pretty interesting. I was like, cool, because I've always wanted to write a book, because I have some ideas. Anyway, so there we go.
Was it a good pick? You think it was a good pick by me?
Great pick, good pick.
I
was really excited.
Half of it, maybe.
I'm so happy that you picked that one. Anyway, so we're going to our last question here from Sean, aka Fragadin. So many competitive games have been rising up and being major highlights in esports/MLG. The transition of the popularity as far as marketing and endorsement has skyrocketed with huge events and tournaments. Between this and internet personalities such as yourselves, would you have ever imagined the industry to be at this point? Also, given the recent rising trend, where would you like to see it go next, or what opportunities are still out there to grow even larger? So the first question, Joe, Well, you're getting Lizard Lounge on me here. You're pulling the mic off and doing whatever you want. As long as you're not screaming into it.
Can you still hear me well, Jimmy?
Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to like turn that all down.
Yeah, I'm like relaxed, laying back.
Don't relax.
Mic in my hand, lounge singer style.
Just a little behind the scenes stuff. I have to like fix all these weird edit things that Joe does. He'll just like lay back in his chair. He's like, I'll do it from the desk next time. He's never sat at a desk for one of these things.
Hey man, we've been at it for over an hour. I'm getting tired. All right.
Yeah, Joe
loving
can't.
it though. I want you to take this one away, Jimmy, because this is more. I feel like you can speak better to this because my answers are, obviously we're seeing a little bit of it. Virtual reality, VR is becoming a real big thing, and I think that's going to help the market in different aspects like that. Marketing things that they'll do, these Major League Gaming events are becoming a big deal. I know pro play with like Overwatch has been cool. I've even been checking that out. I checked out a lot of Halo League play. I think that's really cool. They even had that at the X Games this year. At Winter X Games, they actually had a competition for pro teams to play Halo. So they had a tournament there, which was cool, and they live streamed it all. I actually watched some of that. It's really cool.
Sure. Yeah, and that's actually a point I guess I would make about this is that, it's hard for me to think of like would I ever imagine the industry to get to this point. I'm not surprised that is because video games are the most engrossing form of media to me because you can get lost in a book or a movie to some degree, but video games, it's like the next level. Yeah. And eventually maybe VR, which is a video game. So I'm not surprised it got there.
Yeah, technology, it's always changing. It's always going to get better. We're always making strides in that area. So, maybe I didn't think about it that much, but I mean, it would be hard not to imagine it growing to where it has.
For sure. And like Joe was saying right there, it's kind of cool that it's been kind of grouped in with these other events besides doing its own thing, which I think is a really cool idea. I don't know if we'll ever see it be as prominent to the point where it's like, all right, we have the Olympics every 4 years, and then we have a special gaming thing that happens every 4 years, and then they do it in the same city. You know what I mean? I don't know if we'll ever get like Olympic-style video game championships.
Not on that broad of a spectrum, but I can definitely see like, okay, we have Comic-Con, we have E3.
Oh, they already...
So E3-esque gaming tournament that's televised.
Yeah, I'm sure. We are already there because Twitch already kind of televised that. Like EVO is like the big fighting thing that just happened. They do that every year. But I'm saying like in tandem with that show. No. So maybe one day. I would guess maybe one day if you wanted to go bigger and larger.
Virtual reality stuff, possible.
No, but I think they're already showing video games on ESPN and stuff. Mm-hmm. They're starting to there are athletes out there who are endorsing other players of these MOBAs and stuff and saying that they are just as much an athlete as if I was the pro athlete, like as I am, that's what they're saying. Some people are very against it, obviously. Like some people are like, this is very different. Like this person isn't an athlete. Like this person is just a person playing a game. They're just clicking buttons. But
everybody associates it with physicality.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true.
I kind of feel that way to a point.
Says the guy who likes motocross and NASCAR. Here it comes. I gotcha. I know the motocross, you have to have good core and you gotta have muscles to turn the bike.
The trainers who train some of those pro motocross racers compare them to Tour de France style athletes. And I don't know if people realize, but those cyclists that race the Tour de France are freaks of nature.
Yeah.
But
they don't have engines on their bikes.
Yeah, there's I forget what it is. It's like your V2 max is like your fitness maximum. And if you can't attain a certain level, you just can't. You won't make it. So like some of these athletes really are freaks of nature. Their threshold for physical output is insanely high and would make us look like couch potatoes.
Sure.
Yeah, it's unreal. And some of those motocross athletes, you heard it here, they're compared to Tour de France competitors.
And
racers.
Who again compares them to that? The trainers?
The trainers who train them.
The trainers who are inside the industry compare them to it just seems like there might be a little backdoor shady
some of the
deals.
Trainers come from the cycling world.
Okay.
Just saying. motocross people don't credit it. Yeah, you have the engine and all that, but that bike weighs 260 pounds loaded with fuel and all that. Then you add a rider on it. A lot of these riders are smaller, but sure. To muscle that bike around the track that's probably rougher than any natural terrain you've ridden over ever. It's tough. Just picture a motocross track and try running around it twice. There, you did one lap on a motocross bike. Well, not true, but
I was like, wait, what? No,
that's a comparison. Like if you run around the track as fast as you can, up and down the jumps and the hills and through the ruts and all that, as fast as you can.
Sorry, I'm not rolling my eyes at you. There's vacuuming going on. I already vacuumed this area today. It's getting vacuumed again, so I'm rolling my eyes at that. I'm not at you.
No, we don't have to get off on the tangent, but I do think racers are athletes because it takes a physical approach.
We're not talking.
These guys work out. Whatever.
The racers, Joe. We're talking about video
gamers.
Games,
work out their thumbs.
So
you have to have so much strength in your thumbs to work those sticks.
So what Joe's trying to say is that motocross athletes are just as much an athlete as any video game athlete. Thank you, Joe. I really appreciate that. It really got it summed up there. I know we got a long way around it.
I can't not say a gamer is not an athlete in some respect. Just a different category, I feel.
Well, I feel like on an honest note.
It takes, mental capacity and all that.
For sure.
There's effort for sure. Don't get me wrong.
There's a fortitude, I think, with some of that stuff too, because like a lot of these things, like I'm trying to think, like football, for instance, very difficult sport to play, very explosive. But there's not always a lot of endurance necessarily that goes into it because you make a play and then you all come back, you huddle, you walk around for a bit, there's a commercial going on, you line up, you do it again.
Yeah.
But like some of these guys who just sit, I couldn't sit for like 12, 14 hours straight a day and just play a game. Like I would be mentally exhausted. I'd be like, that's their job. And they get paid like crazy amounts to do it. I'm like, that's insane. But people want to watch it. They want to see that high level play.
True.
So it's just like any sport. But when you compare like the regular, more like standard ball athletes like football and soccer and stuff to like, your NASCARs and your motocross, and now we're comparing it to video game people. It's strange how athletes have just transformed over the past 40 years.
Yeah, an athlete today compared to an athlete in the 80s.
Yeah,
not even a contest. Football player now compared to football players back then. Football players back then would probably die.
I just meant like as far as what we consider to be one, as far as just like the broad spectrum, because it'd be like maybe just football and basketball players.
Yeah, that's evolved. I think people have a more open mind about it, and yeah, it's just a different category. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to be physically fit or any of that. It's just a different category. And I have an open mind to that. I feel like it is. It's a form of athleticism in some way or form.
So. Yeah, but to answer your question again, Sean, I think to get bigger, they're doing it. Obviously, they're huge, and I think if they were to do something kind of Olympic style, where they do like an event every few years, that might be a big deal.
Yeah.
Or they start just being a part of every event, like all the time.
Yeah, like how they mixed it in with the Winter X Games. I think that's cool. It added a different what's the word? Aspect to the tournament and the competition. It's like, okay, now we're toning it down and we're watching some really awesome pro play on Halo. I thought that was cool. Even had some of the athletes come in and play a little Halo against each other. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty cool. It's interesting to kind of see that implementation, and as video games become more and more prevalent, it's become less of a kind of a niche thing. Mm-hmm. That's why I think it could have more widespread effects as opposed to something like motocross, because not everybody can be like you, Joe, and has had that experience and gets to be in it and loves it like that. Anybody anywhere can play a game, so like that's why I think video gaming is just like a hobby that like so many people have, and that's why I think the potential for it to be one of the biggest forms of entertainment on a huge scale is it's easy to see why
everybody's had contact with video games in some shape or form, right?
It's just easy. It's so accessible. I mean, it's like a movie or a book.
Yep.
So that's to answer that question. Thank you, Sean. That was a really good one. I think we got everything there.
That took some thinking.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
it did. Take some of that old noodle of mine there.
Wish you shouldn't have brought up motocross, Jimmy. You know how that turns into one big long tangent.
I know. I had to
I had to get your goat a little bit there. I had to see what I was gonna.
Yeah, you got me. You got me.
I know Joe's.
You started it. You knew what you were doing.
And out. He knows none of mine except for the fact that I don't know. I'm afraid of commitment and being alone. Does that confuse anybody else? No. Oh, that's great. Oh my goodness. So Joe, we're getting to the end of the show here. We got one segment left to do that people are waiting for, and I forget the name. The voice changes, but what is the name of it?
Timekillers.
That's right. It's time for Timekillers. For anybody who's unfamiliar with this segment, it is just what Joe and I have been, like, movies we've been watching, video games we've been playing, TV shows we've been viewing, and or books we may have been reading. And again, as always, we do count cookbooks as reading. Mm-hmm. So if we flip through a cookbook,
food, I tell you what.
Wouldn't that be a great book to write down as, like, the last book you read was, like, Betty Crocker's, like, like I read
best
it from
brownies
front to back.
Of 2016, 50 best
read it front
recipes.
to back. It was so good. Oh my gosh, that'd be so good. So Joe, you told me, like, this week I got Timekillers on lock. What's your Timekiller, man? What have you been doing? What have you been watching?
MXGP2, pal.
Oh, you've been playing.
Boom, bringing up the motocross topic again.
Yeah, we'll never get away from it.
So this weekend I went to the Motocross Pro National, Millville, Minnesota. Spring Creek MX Park. Epic. Awesome.
This doesn't sound like a video game.
Loved
Joe.
it.
It sounds like you went to a thing.
No, but it inspired me. I was like, I'm going to this national. It's going to be a motocross couple weeks here. So I downloaded the new MXGP2 game the day it came out.
Yeah, and you're liking it.
Loving it. It's basically a simulator, but better. I mean, it's fun. It's basically, if you have ever had exposure to motocross and you play this game, you'll love it. It is so realistic. It's off the chain. It really is. The tracks are great. The scaling is great. Things are proportioned properly. All the gear choices are legit and up to date. You know, they're like the 2015-16 gear choices. They're all real tracks. Glen Helen from California. Any track that the MXGP Tour goes to across the world is in there, which is awesome. Mexico, Belgium, Italy, France, they're all in there. It's really cool. The track changes throughout the race. Perfect. You can slide out now instead of, just railing corners all the time. The jumps take more tact and finesse. The adjustments to your bike are critical and realistic. Suspension settings, gearing, etc. The customization options for your own team. The bikes are all legit bikes. Husqvarna, KTM, Honda, Kawasaki. They're all in there. Can pick pro riders. They have all the whole roster for the MXGP, MX2 class and GP class. So very cool. I'm loving it right now and playing a little bit of it in my spare time. And I know we streamed it on the channel a few times. People seem to like it, and so stream a bit more of that for a while for sure. So if you guys want to check it out, get on the Go Critical Twitch channel.
Yeah, sure. And you may or may not be reviewing it. I'm not sure if we're still doing that or not.
Well, the plan is I should. Maybe next week I'll get around to a formal review of MXGP.
Sure.
Nitpick some of the pros and cons and things I like and didn't like. So yeah, check it out. If you guys are interested in the game, we'll be streaming it, and that review hopefully will come out next week. And yeah, but that's my Timekillers lately. Not too much else. Been busy, real busy.
All right, fair enough, man. Fair enough. Well, I'm actually, weirdly enough, I'm not even going to go over any video games here this week. I finished Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 3. It was actually pretty good. I like that show. I don't think it's great. I would say I kind of like it. It's not amazing by any means. If you can hear that weird noise in the background. No, I'm not going to tell people what Joe's doing. But yeah, it was pretty good. I just watched the first episode of Stranger Things on Netflix. Been a lot of promotion for it. Pretty interesting. Kind of this, it's set in the 1980s in Indiana. This kind of like secret government lab. So far, it might be they've made a monster. They might have like an alien thing.
Hold on. Hold the show.
What?
What's it called?
Stranger Things.
And it's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's really good so far.
Sounds interesting.
Obviously, it's the first episode. Little boy goes missing. Alien or monster might have attacked him.
Yes.
But this other little girl has escaped the facility.
Yes.
And she may or may not have some powers. And the government is trying to catch her.
And yes.
Also, I like there's like this group of 4 boys. One of the boys who goes missing. But they're all playing Dungeons and Dragons. The first thing you see is them playing Dungeons and Dragons, which is great. But then they start making Lord of the Rings references later on. And I was like, I love these guys. I'm like, I understand these guys. So yeah, it's very cool. Very if you like the 80s, it's like a little bit of period piece, but also kind of that kind of mysterious, little dark, kind of horror elements to it. Which
that's right up my alley, Jimmy.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I'll bring it up and Joe will be like,
nice Timekillers pick, man. I gotta check that out now.
Last thing I've been watching, check the name again. I was watching this. There's this one anime on Netflix right now called Magi, and there's the first one's called Labyrinth of Magic. The second one's called Kingdom of Magic, but there's this one called Magi Adventure of Sinbad, and it's a prequel to all of that, and it's about this main player in that anime when he was younger and him building up his empire. He makes his own country in this world by collecting all of these these genies from these various dungeons across the world, which are very lethal, and he gets all these really cool powers and stuff. Really cool show, very good looking. Unfortunately, this one is only subtitles. It doesn't have the English dub, so if you want to watch it, you just got to make sure you're okay with that. I know a lot of people actually prefer that, but with the other two, I'd watched it with the English voices, and it was kind of a hard switch over to that, but very good. Anyway, that wraps it up for Timekillers. That wraps up the show, because we're ending on Timekillers this week. If you guys want to hear Timekillers at the end, we can do it instead, but it just worked out this week to do questions.
Timekillers.
And I don't know if I'll put the word up again there, but we'll see. Maybe. People will be like, it's over. Good. Timekillers segment. But thank you to everyone. Again, thank you to This Is Daylo for our theme music. Yoren Evers for the amazing artwork. As always, check out both of theirs. There's SoundCloud for This Is Daylo and Instagram for Yoren Evers down below, and obviously popping up on the screen. So if you want to tweet at us with any comments that you don't think we'd see on YouTube, even though I do check it, I'm like a hawk with it. If you want to tweet us directly, go ahead. I am at GoCritical, all one word, capital G, capital C. And Joe?
Check me out at lever_627. That's lever just like beaver, only with an L.
Exactly. And the nice thing is, too, that kind of ties into questions, because if you do have a question for us, please tweet it at one of us and put the hashtag Critical Podcast, because Sean, Anna, and Yoren all did, which was good because it's easier to find that way. So if I skipped yours this week, I apologize. But if you have one, just keep throwing it at us, and I will get to it, hopefully eventually. So thank you. Those questions are so good. We really love it. We appreciate you guys stopping by. If you have time before, like we were saying, Joe was going on about what we're doing on Twitch. We have 2 links down below. There's one to like my personal one, and then there's one to the channel that Joe is typically on. So we've kind of been alternating a little bit more on nights. So you never know who you're going to get yet right now until we get a good schedule down. But we appreciate your support. We appreciate you stopping by. Like, share, subscribe, donate. Do all those things if you want. Do none of them.
Comment.
Yeah, comment. We need the comments. We love the comments. Those are the best things we get, honestly. But do all those things. Do none of those things. Do whatever you want, because this is for you. So thank you again so much. You take it easy.
And ta-ta for now.